Hey, you did not see that Sprite in the picture. I was listening to an interview with Tomas Prower. I liked it. He was very real about what to expect from Santa Muerte, especially from an outsider's perspective. And I was watching a couple of testimonies on YouTube. I like hearing stories about people's experiences, people's dreams, stuff like that. Especially when they make a YouTube video, because I'm a visual person. But anyway, they all brought up good points, and they're like, you have to be very specific with what you ask. And, I've mentioned this in the past. You can't just be very broad unless you're open and willing to accepting a broad outcome. So I want to give you my own personal story. And I say personal, very personal, because I know that lots of people watch this and, well, there's people out there that don't like me particularly, but I've always been open and real on this channel, and I've always talked to the camera like if I'm talking to you guys personally. So I don't got nothing to hide. I want to share my experiences with you because I stumble and I fall a lot, and I want you guys to watch me fall. Like, I want you guys to learn from the mistakes that I made, like that kind of realness. And I want you to know that we all stumble and we all make mistakes. We all got to learn, and not everybody just wakes up like a perfect practitioner. Like, not everybody just automatically, boom, is like a natural born devotee or witch or whatever, and they just like, boom, just automatically know what to do. Like, some of us got to learn the hard way. So if you're into that, subscribe. But anyway, so being very specific with what you ask for. I'm currently going through this, and I have only really ever asked her for health related stuff. So reason being is because, I'm a mother and I want to be around to take care of my kid. And obviously he's autistic, and so I got to be around even longer, So, and I've always had, I always fluctuated with my weight. And so I'd always ask her, like, help me with my weight. And she's just kind of like you can feel like the eye roll, like, really, dude, like, there are people on their deathbed asking me to help them to survive, and you're asking me to help you lose a few pounds. Like, come on. So anyway, but other than that, I really wouldn't ask for nothing, like, I didn't see anything important enough that I couldn't handle on my own that I would ask her. But yet, oddly enough, I went to her for weight loss. So it would fluctuate, whatever. Anyway, and of course, like many, I didn't live the healthiest of lifestyles. I still am not, but I'm doing much better than I was years prior. I'm on like the verge of, I am actually on the high cholesterol, level, and I don't exercise as much as I should, don't drink as much water as I should. And all of that came to a boiling point when around January, the beginning of the year. So not only are we dealing with a pandemic, but this was also happening for me anyway. And I took a break off of social media for about a month and slowly started kind of crawling back in. Well, prior to that, I had a dream about her, and she was wearing red, and she very much looked like the Hellboy death figure in part 2. And she was very fleshy. She had like Crypt Keeper type fingers, like still fleshy, but kind of brown and rotting. And yeah, I'm not saying it wasn't scary. It was freaking scary. And nobody's saying that being a devotee to hers can't be scary at times. Oh, it can. But so can, being a Christian or a Buddhist or a Methodist or a whatever. It has its scary moments. Nobody says otherwise. Anyway, so she's holding golden scales and she's pointing to it, like floating like this. And she's smiling this big smile like, oh, it's about to go down. And I'm like, what? And basically what it meant, looking back in retrospect, was a lot. So the beginning of January, I went through a health thing, and I basically had to start from scratch all over again. Like, I have to start with just my natural body. Like, I have to detox from this chemical that I was putting in my body that a lot of women put in their body. I won't get too specific, but it's really only catered to people with a uterus. Okay? Yeah. So, I got it removed. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you know what I'm talking about. And my whole body just went into shock. Like everything was hurting. Anxiety through the roof. My muscles are still shaky. And I was getting a notification. And my joints freaking burning. So anyway, what it boiled down to was a thyroid problem. And the thyroid problem was exacerbated by this device. And so when I got it removed, my thyroid was like, oh my God, what do we do? And then it was just like flare-ups and pain and, food sensitivities and like breaking out and cold and hot and sweating and nerve pain and just all over the place. And it's still kind of like that. And I've been going through that since, like I said, the beginning of the year. And I had to stop smoking. I had to, whatever alcohol I was thinking of consuming, I could not. And I didn't drink a lot though, don't worry. And I cannot vape, and all of the foods that I was eating before, just like a big old fat pig, could not consume as much of them, even though I still look like a big old fat pig. They had to be like, no, we are detoxing right now, Janelle. I warned you about this. This is what you wanted. You're always bitching at me about your health. So we are detoxing and we're doing it whether you like it or not. Because for the first couple of months, I honestly thought I was like, oh, somebody put something on me, somebody sent me something because this is like what it feels like, when you get attacked, and everybody was like, no, dude, no, like, you're not that special. No, nobody sent you nothing. This is this occurrence that's happening is natural. Is because if anything, you did this to yourself. And I'm like, okay, well, all right, I can handle that. That's fine. But, but I look back in retrospect, this is what I wanted. I wanted a total and utter and complete detox. I wanted to be like completely natural as possible with my body. And that's sure enough what I got. And even though I got like 3 chins and even though I look fat, my body is more in a natural state right now than it has been in years. And I'm talking like since I was like 16 kind of thing. So, oh man, during that process. And I did on a couple occasions. I did get mad and I blamed her. I was like, "You're putting me through this. You're doing this to me." And she was like, "Bring it. You want to go? Bring it." And man, have I cried so many times in front of that altar since January. And dude, I've cried so many times in front of like my grandma's picture because she went through the same thing. Kind of like a recently deceased altar. It's not an ancestor altar. It's like recently deceased. Because in order for them to be your ancestors, it has to be like generations and generations and generations back, But, and I've cried in front of another altar that's kind of like a white table. And it's like got Don Pedrito. And it's got like a little gypsy woman. And it's got like a white candle and a cup of water. And it's just kind of more like my distant ancestral family kind of thing. Like the natives, stuff like that. So, I was doing a lot of this. So every single one of them, I'm like on my knees crying like, why is this happening? Blah, blah, blah. And I got so many readings that I did. Is my health going to get better? Blah, 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 blah. And so during that time, my biggest, my biggest, inhibition? My biggest issue was sleep. If I didn't get sleep that night for like at least 5 hours, I felt like the next day like a bus hit me, because I wasn't fully recovering every day. I had to recover. And so I was on a sleeping pill, and that sleeping pill is a controlled substance. And I was already on it for 6 months. And I would go days without taking it because I didn't like the stigma of being on a controlled substance, like, I'm going to sleep on my own. I am. But nope, sure enough, 2 hours later, if I didn't take it 2 hours later, I'd wake up and my heart would be, and it's part of the condition. It's part of the condition that I'm dealing with. And don't even get me started on sleep aids because I have tried them all. There's not an herb, there's not a pill, there's not a substance you can recommend that I had not tried. Believe me. So, my doctor wants to wean me off because it's been 6 months. And I get it and I agree. But at the same time, I was like, you didn't see me do that. I need more time, at least time enough to see like the specialist that I need to see, and wait for them to recommend something to me. Like maybe they can put me on something that's going to help regulate me better, or whatever. And they were like, they basically, it was a 4th of July weekend, and the pharmacy didn't get the script. I'm sorry, they got the script, but they didn't have any in stock. So I went like 3 days. I was supposed to be being weaned off, but I went 3 days cold turkey. Oh man, those 3 days were freaking harsh. Okay? And I was getting maybe like 2 hours of sleep every day. And that doesn't sound too bad, but for what I was going through, it was a lot. And a lot is expected of me throughout the day. And I hate to sound cocky and stuff like that, but there is a lot. So it's something I think that gets overlooked a lot. Like I am a busy person, and whatever extra time I have, I'm making these videos. But so come the 3rd day, I get the prescription refilled. I take it that night. I sleep. I feel okay. And I still have the underlying effects of everything else except for the sleep deprivation. I'm still having pain. I'm still having muscle weakness. I'm still having like the throat soreness, and I'm still having shaky muscles, and I'm still having like the weight gain, and I'm still having all of the other issues except for I got some sleep. So I had an idea, and it just popped in my head, and it was after going to the altar where my distant lineage, or guides, I guess you could say guides, where my guides would be. And they were like, I was telling them like, send me a message, dude, because like I don't know what to do anymore. I'm in my wit's end. I can't keep relying on this substance. I need resolve. And they were like, okay, it was like, okay, we'll give you the right route. And they just like kind of flashed something green to me, just green. And I was like, okay, green's good. Green is health. I like that. And I just had this like urge to go to a friend's house. And I sat by and I went to the friend's house, and they have their nightly routine, and I got some secondhand stuff. And I was like, I have dry mouth. Oh. But I'm not an amateur when it comes to that in particular. Like, I've done it, like, obviously, come on, man, I live right by Mexico. Anyway, it's neither here nor there, but I've done it, but not a lot, just socially. And so I was like, oh, I got dry mouth. Oh shit. It's like, no, you'll be all right. And I was like, okay, and like, no big deal, like, what's the worst that can happen? I hadn't taken the sleeping pill in over 24 hours. I knew there was probably some still lingering in my system, but that night was the best night's sleep, I think, that I've gotten since last year. So it was at that realization, like, oh, that's what the green was that you flashed in my vision. And I was like, oh, can I do this? Like, let's see if it'll work. So surely the next day I partook, and I slept so freaking good. And not only that, my anxiety was gone, my pains were gone, and I felt good, relaxed. And I'm not the type of person that's normally able to sit and hope and focus and hone in on one thing unless I'm 100% interested in it. And I when I tell stories, I go off on little sub stories and branches, stuff like that. And I found myself able to like stay true to the course of what I was trying to talk about. Also, I was having the ability to listen to people without interrupting them, which is a big deal. And I was like relaxed finally. It's like, man, this is like my friend told me, he's like, Janelle, this is like the oldest, or he's like, that's why people like it, because it's like a cure-all. And I was like, yeah, and it's like the oldest freaking remedy in the book, man. But now I'm all like advocate, not that I wasn't before, but even more so now, because like personal experience. And another thing is, I'm always telling people, they're like afraid to partake with her, and I was like, no, actually, based off of what everybody's told me, she likes it. So yeah, like the first day that I actually had like some alone time, I was like doing it with her. And I just got like a sense of happiness, like like a pat on the head. You finally listen. Because I had been getting urged and nagged to do that for the past couple of years. Because I would sometimes complain about my anxiety and sometimes complain about like ADHD type symptoms. And I kept just getting flashes of like the the 5-leafed miracle plant, and I was like, no, because there's a stigma, and I don't want to get in trouble and stuff like that. But it's like, dude, everybody freaking does it. Everybody freaking does it. Like, it ain't even a drug. Like, what's your problem? So anyway, so after listening, after observing, and after learning that all of this was something that I asked for, it was further affirmation, further confirmation that when you ask for something, you have to be very specific. And when you get it, you cannot bitch about the kind of envelope that it comes in, because it's what you asked for. So I'm always telling people also that you have to work for it. You can't just expect it to fall in your lap. Those are like the odd cases. And you have to put in the effort. And sure enough, like I've had to swallow my words and had to learn yet again that it's not just theory. This is very real. And she will take things from your life that no longer serve you. And if that's an unhealthy way of living, then so be it. Then you're going to have to go through a detox like the way I had to. And because it's what you asked for. So I'm no longer going to ask for that. I am going to handle it on my own. Anyway.
I love this shit.
Okay, well, that's all I wanted to share with you guys for now. And I thought that it would be interesting to share that experience, because it makes us, and it makes me realize not to ask for things that are something that we can handle ourselves. And that's pretty much everything. It's not just about health. It's not just about like money or anything like that. It's about everything. Like, don't go to her asking for stupid shit. If you can handle it on your own, then you do it. More power to you. And she actually seems to like it when we empower ourselves. That's the whole basis behind cutting out the extra fat and cutting out, no pun intended, cutting out the dead bits and bringing life to what we've resuscitated. So thanks for watching, guys. Thank you all for your support, and I'll see you in the next video.